thing I was proud of, we knew going in that the only parameter that was 100% reliable in picking a winner, those games involving Minnesota, was the team that scored the first touchdown. That team had won 9 out of 9. Now it's to 10 because we were the team that scored that first touchdown. And yesterday at the Garden Club, I jokingly mentioned, I said I was looking in the paper today, and I'll never bet on a college football game, but I couldn't help but notice the lowest over-under score out of all those games listed for today was Iowa, Minnesota. It was 37.5. And I jokingly said, I think that means the first team to 20 wins. And we were the first team to 20, I see. Keegan's touchdown made it 24-16. And sure enough, the first one to 20 did win. So the thing I mentioned to the Fry children, I said, Coach Fry would have really enjoyed watching this game with us today. He enjoyed watching it because he had the best seat in the house anyway right now. But the truth of it is, it reminded you of a Hayden Fry game because there was no doubt our offense was trying to make plays for all 60 minutes. And it made for a more entertaining game. And as you've heard me say before, Corey, if you take 4 shots, you shouldn't expect to hit on more than a couple of them. But even if you only hit on one of them, it might be the difference in the game. And one of them was 72 yards today. And I think it did have a little bit to do with the outcome. So we played to win. We didn't play not to lose. And that's the most fun way to play. And I'm happy that we got that done today.
Brian asked the question, was the play calling aggressive or was it the QB being aggressive? That's an interesting question because, you look at this game plan, you say, well, we threw the ball downfield. Is that because Alex threw the ball downfield or was it because the coaches called a better game than when Spencer was the quarterback? Don, what do you think?
It is because we called a more aggressive game.
That's what I thought.
Those plays were designed to go down the field, and Alex was happy to oblige them. Those plays were designed to try to create a big play. And as I mentioned earlier, Coach Fry would have been smiling the entire game because it looked like Iowa offense back in the 80s in my mind. It really did. We were trying to win. We were taking shots. They were plays that certainly had a chance to be, with good execution, had a chance to be effective and positive for us. And our percentages weren't great on those plays, but you don't expect them to be great. They don't have to be great. If you hit half of them, it's the baseball analogy. If you're swinging for the fences all the time and you have the power to get there, you don't have to hit too many out to be a home run hitter and to pile up the runs, So same thing in ball. If you're taking shots, if you're swinging for the fences, if you only connect half the time, even that's good because with 4 attempts, you're going to have 2 huge plays. With 6 attempts, you'll have 3.
I wrote down in my notes, big plays cover a multitude of sins.
Absolutely. So, and you only have to think back. I think there was a game last weekend. Somebody won with unlikely numbers, and it was because of big plays. Who would it have been in the Big Ten a week ago? Was it maybe Maryland's? I can't remember.
Maryland played last week. You might be right. I mean,
I can't recall.
They tend to do that.
Right. Yeah.
Let's go to our next caller. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame at the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
This is Gary from Arizona.
Gary, another caller from Arizona. How are you tonight?
I'm great. I have to tell you, I attended the University of Minnesota, and when I moved to Cedar Rapids, I became an avid Hawkeye fan. That was in 1980. It was a great time to be there and to watch Hayden Fry. I have a thought, and that is that the current offensive coordinator should study Hayden Fry's exotics.
I think Don might agree with you on that, Don.
You're exactly right. You said Gary, is that your first name?
Yes.
Yeah, Gary, you're exactly right. We called them exotics, trick plays, and we had trick plays for every game. And it didn't mean we were necessarily going to call one, but in general, I think we did call one. And the amazing thing about them is they almost always worked. So trick plays are fun for the players to practice. It's a little demoralizing if you get outsmarted on a particular play. That's a good feeling for the offense and not such a good feeling for the opposing team. And of course, it makes the defense a little more tentative because they realize there's always a possibility that this is a trick. So they're not flying to the ball maybe quite as fast as they otherwise would.
Yeah, and that was Hayden Fry's use of psychology, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I'll give you a great example, and Corey's heard me talk about it. There are trick plays, and then there are other trick plays that come off of trick plays. Let me give you an example. If you remember the Purdue game a week ago, Purdue gave the ball to the fly sweep man, who pitched it back to the receiver coming around the other direction as if it's a reverse. And of course, at that point, the defense is defending the apparent reverse, except the reverse man pitches the ball back to the quarterback. And at that point, all the quarterback does is turn around and throw it to the original fly sweep man, who is now on a screen pass with a bunch of ugly linemen in front of him. And you might recall he went about 50 yards for a touchdown on that play. If he couldn't run it all, he would have gained 20 on it. But as it was, he was a good runner, and he took it all the way.
I've been waiting for a flea flicker.
That's another good play that often works.
We haven't called a flea flicker in several years, I don't think. I don't remember the last time we've called one of those. But I wouldn't mind seeing it. Michigan State pulled it off. They showed that today during the broadcast. They do it a lot.
So I enjoy the show a lot, and I feel like I'm learning tremendous amount from Coach. I love football, and I'm learning from the coach, well, from both of you. But as I listen, I just think, boy, this is a great way to learn about football.
Hey, all right. Thank you for calling Iowa Post Game at the Voice of College Football. Who's on our line?
Hi, my name is Randy. I'm from the suburbs of Chicago.
Hey, Randy. How are you from the suburbs of Chicago?
I'm great, thanks. Hey, I just got on, so if you guys already covered this, I apologize. My question is for Coach Patterson as a former offensive coordinator. When we turned around the 4th and 17, basically on the goal line, I think we were maybe 3 yards out, and we tried a couple quarterback sneaks, which seemed like long shots. I guess my problem with that is that was one easy chance to go for the jugular. If any way they get a long pass on us, and they got two going at that point, we're done as far as Indy goes. And I thought that was a real good opportunity to just go for the jugular, go up 9 and seal the deal. But instead I thought had some pretty atrocious play calling in that situation and went up 5. Of course, it worked out. And either way, the odds were going to work out, but I don't know how much damage we would have done just going for it. Maybe a out pass to Arlon Bruce for 3 yards or something like that. I'm curious, as a former offensive coordinator, what your opinion is of that. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the call, caller. And Don,
go ahead, Corey. You can hit this one out of the park. Go ahead.
Well, to answer our caller, and Don did answer this earlier in the question in the show, so I'm going to quote him on this because I don't want to have to have you repeat it for a third time, Don. But my thought on it was it's okay to run the first 2 sneaks and go for the score on another sneak on 3rd down. Everybody else disagrees with me, so I'll just admit I'm wrong on it. What Don said is absolutely go for it. Try to get up by 9 early in the series. Don, am I explaining that correctly? Just go, like he said, for the jugular. That might be a little bit morbid, but yeah. Don, is that how you describe it?
I want to be sure, Corey. I want to be sure you have nothing to do with what might have been said before I got on the air, because I had no idea that this was a big discussion. Joined up.
You're cutting out a little bit, Don, but no, I just had a lot of people disagreeing with me, which is fine. I'm glad you set me straight on this because, like I said, I usually, you know me, I'm pretty honest. If I don't agree with something Kirk or Brian does, I'm not afraid to say it. And I did not have a problem with those first 2 QB sneaks, but you're enlightening me on probably the facts better than I would have been able to construe those.